Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulihi. Amma ba'du. I greet our listening audience. Assalamu alaikum wa Ramadan Mubarak. This is day 5 of our presentations each morning of Ramadan. This is the Mali Ramadan sessions. The first week, as you have day 4 here, is day 5. First week, day 5. Yes, we started on Tuesday. Tomorrow will be day 6. So looking at the Quran, continuing with the verse 55:14 through 16, and today we're going to look at the meaning of man from clay and the jinn from fire. The meaning, we get more into the meaning. Our first sources that we have, our first source is the Arabic grammar, just reading it, the verses grammatically. And then we had another group of sources, I would say based upon Basra. And then we have now the two sources. I am coining the word Basir, coining the word Basra and Basir when it comes to the perceptions that we get from reading the Quran and its sources. Of course, tomorrow we will review it all. We'll go back, make a summary, and review what we have presented during the week, and then we will have questions and discussions on it. So today's tafsirs are going to be Ibn Arabi and Imam W.D. Muhammad. Tomorrow, the dial-in number, again, 854-357-0254. Those of you who are on Facebook Live, tomorrow you'll want to call in because I won't be live on Facebook tomorrow when we have open discussions. With the access code, 534-524-pound. See the number here, you can call in, and if you want to share your screen, get on the webinar and see the screen, go to muslimamericanlogic.ning.com. Scroll down to where you see in the highlight, class information, go to my name, Salim Movement, under the name Salim Movement, and click on the highlight. Then follow the prompt. If you click on the highlight from Facebook, it doesn't allow you to get in. It will not take you there for some reason. So many have had problems with that. Go to the site, and you can get in from the site, from the ning.com site. Yes. Then we have discussions. You can ask questions concerning what has been presented during the week. We'll mention this again at the end of the presentation, inshallah. So let's go right to it. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Khalaqa al-insana min salsalin kal-fakhari, which it doesn't need to be translated for most of you. وَخَلَقَ الْجَنَّةَ مِنْ مَارِجٍ مِنْ نَارٍ فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Looking at Ibn Arabi first. he's commenting on khalaqa al-insan. Now, Ibn Arabi, once again, is straightforward Arabic reading, but here he's a little more philosophical, more insightful in his writing than the other tafsir that we have looked at. He's a little more insightful, philosophical. So, but yet he's still commenting on what's in the parentheses. The Arabic grammar is straightforward, but he's commenting on what's in the parentheses. The words are straightforward. So the Arabic is not difficult, as I mentioned yesterday. It's just understanding what he's talking about. Just you can follow the wording, follow the grammar, straightforward Arabic, no tricks to it, but understanding what he's talking about. So you have to go back and reflect on what's in the parentheses. He created the man. And when we say man, we mean woman too. Al-insan is both men and women. Khalaqa al-insan, the human being. This word here you'll see a lot in tafsir literature. That is to say. That is to say, khalaqa dhahirahu. We put the fatha there because the fatha is here. So we say he created dhahirahu, his appearance, his manifestation, what we see, the human being, the outer person. وَجَسَدَهُ, and its body. He created its body. الَّذِي, which, he says, يُؤْنِسُ, you can say يُؤْنِسُ or you can say يُؤْنَسُ. يُؤْنِسُ, which has perception, which is given perception, who perceives. That is to say that he sees. Now, pause, let's go back and reflect a moment. We're talking about al-insan, and he's saying he's creating what's visible, his body. But his body has perception. His body sees. He's given vision. He's given sight, not just the eyes. We could say the body is the five senses is in the body. They are in the body, and they give us perception. This is Ibn Arabi. So you may have to reflect a little when you're reading what he's saying. Whether that's his intention or not, that's what we're getting from it. And then we're going to see the connection. Tomorrow we want to see the connection between Imam W.D. Muhammad and the other sources. Yes, we'll talk about it. So now he says, min salasalin. He's going to comment on min salasalin. That's min akthafi. Min akthafi. Akthafi is the most concentrated or compressed of the substance or essence. The most compressed part, we could say, or the compression of the essence of the mixed, we could call them components, elements, mixed elements. Because this salsalin, it's made up of mixed elements. When we say he created from salsalin, they're mixed elements. And they're all compressed together. Water, fire, air, and then salsalin, the earth, the dirt, the dry clay. It's all compressed together. these elements. The earth, the air, the fire, and the water. And they're all given in certain proportions. That's what I say. After we have proportioned him, and these are the proportions. Everything had to stay within its balanced proportion. Whereas the dryness, the earthliness, it's more dominant. It outweighs the other elements. It's more earth to it than the other three. So we call it solid. He's given us a different idea, just a slight look at all the sources. So this is solid, with all of the elements, whereas the dry clay is the most dominant element. Then he says, Kalafachari. Kalafachari is a soluble. It's hard, solid. Alladhi yunasibu jawharu al-azmi. Which you would say the essence of the bone. It's the hardness. The essence of the bone is yunasibu. How would I say it? I want to say it's agreeable. It's agreeable. What's the other word? It doesn't come to my mind right now. It's related. It's related to the bones, which is related. The essence of the bone is related to this hardness, as soluble. It has become hard. That's like the pottery. It has become hard. Which is this hardness, which is the foundation of the body and its support. So that's this hardness, he's relating it to the bones. Now we can go to Imam W.D. Muhammad, which I won't do now, maybe tomorrow in the discussion, of where he talks about the bones and the meaning of the bones. It all can be expanded upon. Yes. So it's related. This hardness is related. The essence of the bone is related to this hardness, which is the foundation of the body. Khalaqa al-insan. He created al-insan from salsalin, he's saying, from these elements. And it's like fakhar, which is saying this hardness is related to the bones. This is Ibn Arabi. Which is the foundation of the body and its support. It's all part of the al-insan. Wa khalaqa al-jannah. That is to say, batinahu. Khalaqa batinahu is inner being. When he said the Jinn is inner being, wa ruhahu, and its spirit, el-hayawani, is animalistic spirit. Look how he's describing the Jinn. as something that exists inside al-insan. It's interior. And it's the animalistic spirit that's within the al-insan. الذي هو مستور. It is hidden. It is hidden from the senses. Yes. So he's created man. He creates the man. He creates the body. The body has perception through the senses. But here this jinn is an invisible creature. But it's in this body, hidden from the senses. Well, huwa, and that's how I'm giving it. That's how I'm translating it. Someone else may translate a different way. In fact, they do. There are others who translate Ibn Arabi based upon their background, based upon previous knowledge that they may have. They may translate and understand this differently. So I'm translating this within the perspective of a certain body of knowledge that has formed me. So it is, and he is Abu Jinni. So again, he's saying that Al-Jannah is the father of the jinn. But I'm putting emphasis on the fact that the jinn is something that's inside of you. It's not outside of you. It's not another invisible creature. We may read this and say that jinn is an invisible creature, like a ghost. It's it's a creature that exists outside. He's like the human being, but he's an invisible human being. No, he's invisible to you, but he's part of the makeup of al-insan. Yes. Two creatures. That is to say, aslu al-quwa, meaning the origin of strength, force, hayawaniyati, of the animalistic force. It's the foundation or the origin or the root of the animalistic force which aqwa have, where ashrafu have, which is forceful strength, and its nobility, its most honorable, the highest part of it, is the illusional imagination. That's that jinn. And that's that animal force, that animalistic force. Not that human force. It's an animalistic force, he's saying. And its the strongest and most recognized makeup of it is the illusional imagination. That is to say, الشيطان المسمى Iblis. He's named Iblis. الذي, which huwa min dhurriyatihi. He is from his progeny. So another note to make, Allah created the jinn, but he did not create shaitan. In the Quran, Allah does not create shaitan. Allah does not create Iblis. But he created the jinn. Khalaqa al-jannah. And from this jinn is the shaitan and the Iblis. Or you say shaitan or the Iblis, either way. And they're from the jinn. The jinn is the father Abu Jinn. He's the father of the Jinn. And the shaitan comes from the Jinn, not from Allah. A point for the students to make, and we will discuss tomorrow. He comments on min nar, from fire, as min lahabin. So the other you see now, some of this is repetition from the other sources that we looked at, but he gives a little more. He's a little more insightful with it. Min lahabin, from a flame, latifin, the refined part of the flame, soft and pure, refined. The pure, refined part of the flame, as we mentioned yesterday, it may be the invisible part of the flame. Put something close enough, and you will see it burn from the heat. The heat of the flame, as we said yesterday in one of the sources. It could be the heat of it, which we refer to as passions and desires. Yes. That's not min narin, that should be min. That's the marriagin, not narin, min marriagin. That's my fault. Min marriagin. Yes, the marriagin is the flame. Min marriage, that's the flame, the heat, that intense heat that's refined, the refined part of the fire at the tip. Min marriagin. Min narin ay min alatafi. It is from the most refined of the essence of mixed elements. We talked in one of the sources we spoke yesterday of the mixed elements of the fire, which is it's al-jawhari, which is essence. The essence. It's the essence. The essence. The fiery essence. The fiery essence and the heat. So this is what we're saying from the heat. He's saying here also from the heat. The essence of a mix is a mix, these mixed elements of the fire itself, which one of the authors yesterday, one of the sources was saying the yellow, you have yellow, red, green, and then there's a mixture of black. There's a mixture of black in the fire. But it's the part that's not the heat of the fire, which dominates in the idea of when we say min nar. This is marriagin, min nar. Yes. Well, marriaju, he goes on, huwa al-lahbu alladhi fihi ittirabun. So the marriage, again, he's saying that it is the flame which is agitating. So agitated, moving, jumping around. وَهَذِهِ الرُّوحُ, and this spirit, we're talking about something that's in man, is always agitating and moving uncontrollably. This is the min nar. Marriagin, min nar. Now let's go to Imam W.D. Muhammad. He speaks of the nature of man and the jinn. the nature of the man and the jinn, and what's given here is language. The language that's given in terms of the nature of these creatures is common language. At one time, I would say. Common language in Scripture. And it's traditional knowledge, he said, and traditional usage. These are symbols. These are symbols that were given of the creation of the man and jinn, but these symbols are represented as a language. And it's a common language at one time, well known, common meaning well known, language that was used, and it was traditional language that was used. Just like today we have language. These letters are symbols. Symbols coming together, forming a language. What we're speaking of, the creation of the man and the jinn, he's saying those are also symbols that creates a language. And from man, we have the symbol of clay. From clay. That can be molded into shape as pottery. This, we could say, he's saying the same as others. Now, what I want the students to do, part of your assignment is, go and look and see where the Imam, compare the Imam with the other sources, where they agree, where they disagree, and then see where Imam W.D. Muhammad advances the ideas. Now he's saying the clay resembles flesh. I'm giving you some hints here. And then we'll go over tomorrow. It resembles the flesh. Where's the connection with this and the sources? It resembles flesh. Sensitive. That it becomes sensitive. Yes. Responding to influences. So we just saw in Ibn Arabi what he's saying that what? It's the body that has perception. It's sensitive and it has perception. And it can be influenced. Impressionable and impressionable. But it holds in shape like pottery. And it becomes rigid. Now, the Imam is not talking about the outer person. He also is talking about something that is inside of this human body. When he's saying it's like flesh, it's sensitive, respond to influence, impressionable. He's talking about something inside of the human body. That's invisible also. The it is invisible also. This tells us, I'm trying not to deviate too far from the sources, which we'll end up doing in the discussion, so you'll see the sources clear. He said this tells us that in this behavior nature of ours, this sensitive nature of ours, this perceptive nature of ours, I can add, we can be influenced and can be shaped by the influences. We can also become convinced of that particular mind or that particular principle or idea and become rigid, hard, and fixed like the potter's clay. Yes. Taking all of what we've said now, concluding with Imam W.D. Muhammad. The jinn, he's saying, is made from fire free of smoke, which agree with the previous sources. Blazing, yes, moving, agitated, no resistance, no obstructions or hampering. We had the term dun al hijab, And the term dun al-hijab, now if you want me to go back to it, tomorrow, mention it, we'll go back to it. You may not remember that. Dun al-hijab, I was saying dun al-hijab was speaking of the jinn existing below the barrier in the spirituality of man, that he seeks to still a hearing beyond the barrier, and lightning bolts. The angels shoot lightning bolts at it. And I was saying that's what some of the scholars hold when it talks about dun al-hijab. Here, no obstructions, dun al-hijab or hampering, could be translated here as no obstructions or hampering. There's no resistance, no barrier. Hijab. Hijab is a partition. There's no partition. Yes, and we talked about in the partitioning. You have to hold it together and put it all together. But it has no partition. There's no partition. There's no barrier. It's free moving. Now, this is all we're talking about in man's spirituality, an invisible force in man. As Ibn Arabi is saying, they're both invisible. The ins is invisible, and the jinn is invisible. They're forces. And this force, the Imam is saying, is passions and desires. This is from the fire, made from the fires, passions and desires. These we call it the fiery passions. But they're out of control. There's no resistance to it. When we decide, he says, to believe in something passionately, then we lose that curiosity. We lose the fear that we're wrong. Yes. Passions blind us to circumstances. And make us move without regard for the consequences. And we find that we're just going head on, blindly, to an objective unchecked. These are two natural characteristics in the behavior of the two creatures. Yes, the man and the jinn. One God wants and approves of, and the other he does not. Not in the position of the ruler not to take charge over matter. And the matter, as Ibn Arabi is saying, is the apparent body, the physical body, that's the material that these two creatures exist in. They both exist, yes. But one of them, Allah does not approve of being the ruler of this body. That's Imam W.D. Muhammad. Look at page 8 and 9 of the Ramadan sessions. Page 8 and 9 of the Ramadan sessions to read over it for our discussion tomorrow. And that concludes this part of our presentation on the two sources. Tomorrow, let me go over again. We're going to review and have a discussion. We'll look at the sources, review the sources, and look at the connections we see within the sources. I want you all to go and review it also. You have it. It was emailed out to you. You have all of the sources that was emailed as students. Take a look at it. And I want you to make connections of what you see with Imam W.D. Muhammad and the sources. Because our objective is to understand Imam W.D. Muhammad. Tomorrow, you want to ask questions and you want to partake in the discussion. I want you to talk. And I'm talking any of you who join in tomorrow. Not just the mighty students, anyone who wants to join in. What we're seeing this week is the mighty system. The mighty system. We'll repeat it again next week. We will do it 4 weeks. We're showing the whole system. We start with the 4 sheets of grammar and progress all the way up to Imam W.D. Muhammad. This is why I said in the beginning, you don't come into Mali quoting Imam W.D. Muhammad. Now I know some people who are not in Mali, they don't like it. They want to come in as a scholar. No, we're establishing, building really an institution, a Quranic institution based upon the logic of Imam W.D. Muhammad. But it's not just one source, as you can see. There's some other sources we're going to look at. So you don't come in, we don't start with Imam W.D. Muhammad. We start with the sheets. Learn how to read first. And this all came from a conversation I had with him, which I can say now. I can say it in the beginning, but I can say it now because we've gotten to this point. Arrived at the point of understanding Imam W.D. Muhammad. The conversation that we had is, he was saying to me, read the Quran for yourself without translation. Don't worry about the translation. Read it for yourself. I was a young man, 28 years old. I'm not young like that anymore. But I was young and I could be influenced easily by Imam W.D. Muhammad. And my passion, my desire was already towards reading and comprehending the Quran. And he influenced it greater, had a greater influence. So read it yourself first, and it's the basic, I'm giving the basics of research. Then look and see what they say, which led me to reading tafsir and these sources, these other sources, to see what they're saying. Then look to see what I say. Now we look to see what the Imam says. Then you have something to say. So we're looking at these sources, we have seen what these various sources have said. Now we can see what the Imam is saying. And we can see how he's advancing the idea. Then after that, we have something to say. And when you say what I say, don't say I said it. You don't have to say I said it. The Imam said it. You don't have to copy and paste. The Imam said it. Take it all into consideration as part of your research, and then you have something to say. That's basic fundamental research. So what I've done, I've taken that conversation and created this institution based upon that conversation. That's what has happened over the years. You're not going to come into Mali and learn in 3 or 4 hours. You're not going to come one day, the next, and I'm going to tell you, oh, you learn to read in one weekend and you got it. No, it takes time. And you are the students. No, you're students. It takes time to get to this point. But I'm not just talking now because I'm talking to a large group throughout this country that have reached this level, that have reached this point, that I can say what I'm saying now to show what it's based upon. So we have our discussions tomorrow. Look and see what they say. Look and see what the Imams say. Then you have something to say in the discussion tomorrow. I thank you for your time. Assalamu alaikum wa Ramadan Mubarak.